The wealthy patient lay motionless in the hospital bed, machines humming softly beside him, his eyes closed and his breathing steady. To everyone who entered the room, he appeared completely lost to the world, a man trapped in a deep coma with no awareness of time, faces, or voices. But behind those silent eyes was a sharp, conscious mind, listening carefully to every word spoken in his presence. He had chosen this silence intentionally, not out of fear or weakness, but out of a deep desire to understand the true nature of the people around him. Throughout his life, money had surrounded him like a shield. People smiled easily, offered help quickly, and spoke kindly, but he had always wondered how much of that kindness was genuine and how much was motivated by his wealth. Now, stripped of status and power, lying helpless and unable to respond, he watched human behavior in its rawest form. Some visitors spoke to him briefly and left without emotion, assuming he could not hear. Others treated him like an object, discussing him as if he were already gone. Yet in the quiet moments, he noticed something far more meaningful. A few voices carried warmth, patience, and respect. These people spoke to him not as a millionaire, but as a human being. They adjusted his blanket gently, spoke encouraging words, and stayed longer than necessary, expecting nothing in return. In his stillness, he learned a powerful truth. When there is nothing to gain, true character reveals itself. This silent observation became the most valuable lesson of his life. Wealth could buy comfort, influence, and attention, but it could never buy sincerity. In pretending to be powerless, he finally discovered who truly cared and who did not. Each night, when the hospital corridors grew quiet and the world outside seemed to fade away, the nurse would return to the patient's bedside. She believed he was lost deep in a coma, unaware of her presence, unable to hear the gentle sound of her voice. In that private silence, she allowed her guard to fall. Speaking softly, she shared the words she never dared to say aloud to anyone else, trusting that her thoughts would disappear into the stillness of the room. She spoke of her exhaustion, of long shifts that left her physically drained and emotionally worn. She confessed her fears, fear of failing her patients, fear of not being strong enough, fear that her sacrifices went unnoticed. Yet despite the struggles, her voice carried compassion. She told him how she treated him with care not because of who he once was, but because every life mattered. To her, he was not a rich man or a powerful figure. He was simply a human being deserving dignity and kindness. Sometimes she apologized for not being able to do more, gently holding his hand as if he could feel it. Other times she encouraged him, whispering hopeful words, believing that even if he could not respond, her kindness might still reach him somehow. There was no performance, no audience, and no reward waiting for her, only honesty. Unbeknownst to her, every word sank deeply into the patient's heart. In those quiet confessions, he discovered something rare and priceless, sincerity untouched by greed or expectation. Her compassion, freely given with nothing to gain, revealed a truth more valuable than his wealth, pure humanity expressed in its most selfless form. The moment the millionaire chose to open his eyes, the room seemed to freeze. The nurse, standing beside the bed and adjusting his IV, gasped in shock as she realized the patient she believed was lost in a coma was suddenly looking straight at her. Fear and confusion crossed her face as she wondered how much he had heard, how many private words had reached his ears. Her heart raced, expecting anger, embarrassment, or judgment. Instead, his expression was calm, softened by emotion. With a weak but steady voice, he spoke her name and thanked her. He told her he had heard everything, her fears, her confessions, her words of encouragement, and the care she gave when no one else was watching. Rather than exposing or humiliating her, he revealed the truth behind his silence and explained why he had pretended to be unaware. He wanted to see who would treat him with dignity when wealth and power were stripped away. Tears filled the nurse's eyes as she realized her kindness had been truly seen. The revelation changed everything. The millionaire used his influence not for praise, but to transform her life, supporting her education, easing her financial burdens, and opening doors she never imagined possible. Yet the greatest reward was not money, but recognition of her integrity. This powerful moment reshaped them both. The nurse learned that genuine goodness never goes unnoticed, even in silence. The millionaire learned that compassion is the greatest wealth a person can possess. In the end, one honest heart and one hidden truth came together to create a future forever changed by kindness.